And speaking of saving it all, I'm very curious about the next speaker, Jody Dean, who is from New Earth Leadership, and this is what I'm really curious about because I viscerally understand this word, New Earth Leadership and Embodying Source Consciousness. So I'm very curious about what is source consciousness. I mean, obviously we already know, we could call it God and whatever else, and I'm very curious to know how he helps and coaches multidimensional channel, intuitive empath, energy healer, mindset mentor, conscious comic, that's a good one, actor, inspirational speaker, author and host of the Flow Ninja podcast. Wow, now we've got two ninjas in the house. So amazing. We need warriors. We need the men of dreams to fend off the men of action, to not negotiate for a future that our children waiting to be born need and have to have. Come on up, Dean. Nice to meet you. Here you go.
Thank you for that kind introduction. So, how are we all doing? I know it's like hot, and we've all just had lunch, and we're all a bit like, God, the heat is back, the heat is back. We've had a couple of days of respite from the beastly heat. So I just wanted to name that. And it's okay if you're like slumping, and it's okay where you are with that energy level. I just had a coffee, so I'm raring to go. Nothing's going to stop me. Yeah, so my name's Jody Dean. All that good stuff that was introduced, just basically helped facilitate what I consider to be New Age, New Earth, consciousness-led, heart-led leaders to step into the highest frequency and embody their soul mission and fulfill their purpose in life. And that's what turns me on above everything else. I've tried my hand at various things, and it wasn't always like this. I experienced a lot of trauma in my early years. When I was 6, my parents decided they didn't love each other, and it was a very traumatic divorce situation I lived through for about 5 years. Very painful, and that kind of sent me inward. And I closed down emotionally. Trauma tends to do that. And I was also bullied at school. So was my brother. He was autistic. It wasn't a diagnosed condition at the time. He was dyslexic as well. And because I was his brother, I was bullied too. And that didn't feel good. The whole idea about academia and getting grades and marks to go to prestigious schools in the UK just did not appeal to me one bit. I did end up going to a school in the UK. It was a Quaker school, which is probably the most enlightened form of Christianity that I've come across. You don't have to believe in anything, and everything goes. So that's good. So at about the age of 11, I suddenly got extremely fascinated by all things unexplained and metaphysics and esoterica and paganism and things like that. And I devoured every book I could get my hands on, which were limited back in the 1980s to what the local library had under the whatever it was, like designation of the Dewey system, or like that section of books, right? The metaphysics and everything else, like the stuff that crazy people read. And I was just devouring this stuff and everything to do with self-healing and meditation and everything. And I just wrote a post about this on my blog that a friend of mine at school lent me a book, and it was called something like Journey to India by a guy called Paul Brunson, who I believe was English. And he described his journey to Arunachala Tiruvannamalai in Southeast India, meeting the sage of Arunachala. And this is, of course, Ramana Maharshi, very well known in the kind of non-dualistic community, Advaita, all of that stuff. And this is probably back in the 50s that he visited him. And he said that the sage taught him some meditation, and he sat there in this place and meditated every day for, I think it was months. And then he said one day that he'd been concentrating on this point below his root chakra, in the space below his root chakra. He'd been concentrating on this point, and suddenly it's like something happened, and he dissolved. His consciousness dissolved into everything. He merged with everything and just became infinite bliss consciousness. And reading this as a 12-year-old, I was just like, oh my God, this is so interesting. This is so cool. I want to do this. I want to experience this. And I tried my hand at meditation. It was a confirmation for me that there was like a reality behind the screen of what I was interested in. And I was desperate to know more. So by the time I was 15, I was taking MDMA and psychedelic mushrooms, LSD at 16, and exploring these consciousness experiences that were possible with what I had. And then came across this event called the Mind Body Spirit Fair in London, and went down there with my brother, and there were these amazing mentors and teachers and guides who were living metaphysical lives and doing the thing, right? Working with consciousness. There was this guy called Frank Natal who was doing trance dance and actually did his workshop. And it was totally amazing. Blindfolded trance dance when I was 15 years old. And he talked about teacher plants. He was like, very serious guy, Frank Natal. Came from New York. And he talked about teacher plants. And he's like, you go to the Amazon, you can take teacher plants, and they will teach you things. They're spirit medicine. And you won't get addicted to them because teacher plants are very serious medicine. It's not like a party drug. And I was a bit like, whoa, okay. Maybe I'll stay away from that for a while. But what happened after that, there was other mentors and everything I met, and I went on different journeys, and wow, it was a big expansion from doing that little fair where I could experience things firsthand and have direct experiences of consciousness, of healing, of personal growth. And from that point, it was a lot more of an embodying journey where I had guides, where it wasn't just books, right? Because before that, it was all just like books. I'll read this book and I'll find out this information. But of course, the reality of life is much more complex than that, and we need direct experiences. We need mentors. We need people to go, hey, this is what I experienced. Hey, let me sit you down here and show you or teach you or give you these tools, and you can have them too. Whether it's sound healing, or it's ayahuasca journey, or it's a multidimensional channeling. We need that. If we just stay in the level of the academic, of the mental, of the intellectual, we can only go so far. And luckily, in this day and age, we have so much more available than I did when I was 15. So I eventually went to India and learned from different masters and teachers and guides, and had many different experiences, changed my name. Right. I also engaged in the higher education system and got myself a degree, moved to Spain, learned the language, which is kind of helpful in Mexico. And when I was 28, I decided I wanted to learn another healing modality. I'd already learned things like shiatsu and psychotherapy and seiki soho, which is from a Japanese master. And I was like, no, I need to learn something more embodied. I need to process my emotions. And so I signed up for a breathwork course. And it was with this guy called Leonard Orr. I don't know if you've heard of him. He kind of invented the thing. He's passed away now. And it's the third week of the training. And I mean, I've skipped a lot of my life here, but just suffice to say, when I was 18, I was part of a metaphysics class, and we were talking about everything from UFOs to crystals to channeling to angels to Edgar Cayce and all that stuff. And so it was partly experiential, but then there was a lot of knowledge, and I couldn't integrate it, right? It was just too much. My conditioning, my programming of like what is the old paradigm was pretty intense. And so to penetrate, I needed more. I needed to, go off and have journeys and experiences in the world. So I'm here in this training in Andalusia, and I was 28 years old. It's the third week of the training, and you get the opportunity to breathe underwater through a snorkel. And it was my turn to have a 2-hour session held by 2 lovely helpers, and got under the water, breathing, snorkel. Within a few moments, I was out of my body, and I was in a realm that I knew to be the Sirius star system, experiencing infinity consciousness, love, unity, and meeting with a group of beings who revealed themselves to me, who I knew. I remembered who they are. And then my earth existence, this little 3D reality body that I have right now, was just like this little dot in my periphery. And here I was in this expanded ocean of consciousness, meeting with these beings. It was like I'd been on vacation, I'd been on holiday, and now I was back home. And I'm still actually integrating that experience now. I call it my induction experience. I came after whatever length of time the session was. I was tapped on the leg, and I came straight back into the body. I was just like, oh shit, I'm back here again. Oh, okay. I guess I'm here for a reason. And I was definitely with this sense of purpose and mission, and like, I have to bring this unity consciousness, this oneness, this love to this realm. It was very emotional coming back. I was full of tears. It was very visceral and real. I shared that experience with a few people. Had some funny looks. Had some knowing smiles and nods. And the healing work I was doing at the time changed completely, and it opened up a kind of a whole new level of what was happening. And I realized that there were these non-physical beings assisting me, and they were connected with my experience. However, because my programming, the way it was, I ran the other way, and I tried to do other things in the world. I built a business, and nothing to do with... I built a business in the nightlife. Nothing to do with healing people, really. And then I got involved in internet marketing, and went on other adventures back to India, and then I was led toward the acting profession. Did that for a few years, and then found myself training in public speaking and realizing that speaking about my spiritual journey and my self-discovery was actually really exciting and fun for me, and appeared to be for others as well. And so I didn't need to have an audience in a theater or in a film set or anything like that. It wasn't about me playing a role. It was about me being authentically who I am and embodying the truths that I'd learned and known, and sharing them with the world with the gifts that I've been given. So the last couple of years, I've been diving deeply into that, and to being my true self and authentically as possible. And so that's a little story about me. I hope it serves to contextualize. Papers on the floor. So, one of the things that I wanted to share about New Earth leadership is about speaking your truth. So, this all boils down to, for me, the word alignment. So what I've really understood and realized is that the gut brain is very important in decision making. The heart is also important in decision making. A clear mind is also important in decision making. And for me also, if I really want to express my highest frequency, spiritual connection is also important in decision making. So having all of this lined up really helps and really works. So how would we get into the gut brain? Well, for me, it's been a journey of listening to this part, literally like putting my hand here and listening, feeling, allowing the emotion and the feeling. Due to learning about Chinese medicine and shiatsu, we spend a lot of time working with this area called the hara. They call it the hara, and they do everything from the hara, which is this part. And you can literally work an entire session with someone just touching the hara and work on any kind of problem or need that a human being has. So this connection we can develop here with our gut brain, with our bowel, with our barriga, will help in the decision-making process, in the gut feeling, in that gut brain, in that knowing, that intuition. Also, I would recommend cleansing out the gut, doing whatever bowel cleansing works for you. Personally, I love coffee enemas. It might not be your thing, though. There are many different ways to clean out the gut and reconnect all of that, as well as things like breath work, release, biodynamic therapies, or just literally tuning in every day and just going, how do I feel down here? Like, what's going on? Like, where is it, right? Because we can often be so up here in the mind, and that's what we're kind of indoctrinated into with the education and academic intellectual system. So there we go. The heart is another very, very key, very important part of decision making. And especially when we talk about New Earth leadership, because if you're not connected with your heart, you're not in that space of kindness, compassion, and understanding others as equal to you. So that's also very recommended, to open the heart, to listen to the heart. I'm often putting my hand on my heart and just feeling, going, okay, what am I getting here? What am I hearing? What am I receiving in this part? And the heart is an amazing tool. It is an amazing antenna. It opens up, and there are layers and layers and layers, and it just goes on for infinity. So an invitation to connect more with the heart. Embrace yourself and embrace who you are and why you're here, because you're all here for a reason. Moving on to the mind, the brain. Yes, very important to develop the intuition, open the pineal gland, use that ability that we have, we're all born with, to see beyond the physical, or see and feel and hear beyond the physical. And there's this center we have, which is, they call it the third eye, which when open can assist greatly in decision making, in leading, in making those choices, making those calls, as well as having a clear mind, right? That clarity, that air element. I work a lot with the 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and ether. They also connect with these different centers as well. And it's also the chakras as well, as very basically similar kind of matrix. It's all, the same thing at the end of the day when you get down to it. Energy dynamics of being a human being on the earth plane. And then finally, spirit, that spiritual soul connection, however that manifests for you. They talk about in the Indian tradition, the 1,000-petaled lotus, which is this crown chakra here. For me personally, I've been, since I was 18, it's been open, and it's like a sensation of pouring water onto the crown of my head. And when I'm in with that sensation, it's like that lines up with being in expanded awareness and infinite consciousness. And of course, it's not all the time, not at all. And when I have a headache, it's the opposite. It's like closed down and really limited in the 3D. Like, so I know there's a physical sensation that I have to show me where I am with my consciousness lens. You may experience that too, or you may experience it in a completely different way. You may have no sensation here at all. It may manifest completely different for you. But for me, that's how it works. And so having this kind of matrix open, this line open, is the invitation for embodying source consciousness, embodying divine energy, embodying the infinite creatrix, however that might look for you. So that is something I wanted to share that's practical and that you can apply. And I'm happy to answer more questions or any questions around that as well, because I realize I'm throwing a lot of concepts at you, right? And some of them may be very familiar to some of you, and some of them may be completely foreign. So that alignment matrix for New Earth leadership. So what do we mean by New Earth leadership? I might as well share a moment about that. So building the New Earth, building the new consciousness where we're connected, where we're understanding ourselves as connected with all things, that we are one organism on this planet, and that even though there is a apparent separation between organisms, that there is a matrix, a web that connects us all. However you might look at that, you might see that in terms of the quantum field, or you might see that in terms of the creatrix, or prana, or the weird web, as the pagans might call it. So we're in some kind of unified understanding here with the idea of the New Earth consciousness, that we're moving into and creating a world which is intentional, which comes from this understanding and this connection with all things, and this interconnectedness and knowledge about interconnectedness, which is also given to us by the indigenous wisdom keepers from the different tribes and traditions around the world. And this is also something which plant medicine shows us. And so after 30 years of running the other way from plant medicine, I came to Tulum, and it came to me. And so I was inducted into an ayahuasca journey or two. And I quickly realized what ayahuasca is about and what it's doing here. And for me, that means it's helping us see ourselves, helping us embrace ourselves, and understanding ourselves as the infinite love that we are. And I'm very, very glad to have experienced that. And I'm still very much understanding and learning about how the abuelita works, and keen to have some more experiences. Again, after having run from it for 30 years and thinking that, oh, I actually just want to connect through practices and connect through my own experience rather than relying on a medicine, a drug, or whatever else to, show me the way, because I felt like I need to develop my own roots and put my own roots into consciousness to have the experience myself, rather than having the superhighway of a plant medicine to do it for me, right? And I recognize that they're equally valid. So, just going to take a moment and breathe. So the breath is always something that helps me bring my back to myself and bring myself back to the moments. I invite you all just to take a breath and just connect in with the now, the moment, and let the wind guide you and help you be present in this moment, which will never happen again. and is always in the now. So there's a few things I could follow on from this. I do like to talk about deprogramming and decoding. Trauma obviously is part of that, deprogramming. Now what do I mean by that? What I mean by deprogramming is undoing, untangling, unwrapping the belief systems and ideas that we've taken on, whether consciously or unconsciously, from society, the media, our parents, our primary caregivers, universities, books, etc., and replacing them with positive or enabling beliefs and direct experiences which show us the truth of existence, rather than relying on some code or some program to relate to reality, but actually directly tuning in to reality in the moment and being present to it and allowing that pulse in and receiving whatever that is in the moment. So again, all these wonderful things like the plant medicines and the practices of meditation and yoga and modalities can all help us with that deprogramming. And that then helps us to decode the frequencies of creation and up-level, so that we're more present in the now and more able to be in this world functioning from intention, from the heart, and making choices which will serve us and serve others in the highest possible way. So that's a little piece about decoding and deprogramming. So I ask you, who do you need to become in order to connect more with this alignment matrix? Who do you need to become to open your heart more, to connect with spirit more? What choices do you need to make? What actions might you need to take? Maybe it's writing that book, or that song, or painting that picture, or developing that enterprise, or having that phone call, or reaching out to that person, or simply offering a hug or an embrace to someone who needs it in the moment. It could be one of a million different things. So I just give you a moment to think about that and feel into that. Because sometimes when we tune in and we look and we go, yeah, who actually do I need to become, with a really nice question like that that's helpful and activating, we can get answers that come to us. So I encourage you to maybe write them down if they come to you, or type them into your notes, or make a mental note. Oh yeah, actually, if I was living my highest truth, stepping into my highest frequency, I would actually, I would go and I would call that person. I'm going to call that person today, and I'm going to tell them this, or I'm going to forgive them, or I'm going to announce I'm launching a new project, or whatever it is that comes to you. Only you will know what that is. Only you will know. So, stepping into the new paradigm of consciousness, of new earth. Again, a lot of terms, a lot of ideas floating around. What does it mean? What does it mean actually for you to do that? Because it's all about us making our personal choices. Sometimes they're tough choices to lead from the heart. Sometimes it's the most scary thing, and it requires courage to open, to be vulnerable, to show ourselves, to allow ourselves, and to be all that we are, without apologizing, without feeling unworthy or oh, like my hair is shit or whatever. Just being unapologetically you in this moment and knowing that everything that you've experienced in your life is leading to this moment, and there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. The reason you're here now, what is that? Because there's nothing random going on. Why we're all here today. There's nothing random going on. We're all here for a reason. Can we open to that? Can we expand within that? So I don't know how much time I've got left, or whether I'm at the end or the beginning. But I think I've pretty much said everything I wanted to say. Best advice I can give you is lead with the heart. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I've been Jody Dean. You can follow me on Instagram, JODY_DEANE. Also, I've got a pretty funky PDF about stepping into your flow, which is at go.flowninja.co. Check it out, get on my email list, and you'll know about things I'm doing and wonderful invitations I have for you in the near future. That's it. Thank you so much for all coming and listening.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. In your flow state, baby. How do you get in your flow state? You close your eyes and you let it go. You leave it all behind. Whatever's found is found. Whatever's lost is lost. You just got to get into the sublime. Hear the love in all that you do. Thank you for joining us. This is the Soulful Conference. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to go back to the panel. I'm super excited about this one. We're going to take the three guests that you just watched, and we're going to confer, shake it up, collaborate, talk, and find that flow state. Thank you for joining us. Give us a moment. We'll be right back. Hear the love, hear the love, hear the love. It's resonating. As Borges said, poetry is not alien. It can sneak up on you at any given moment, like it is right now. Thank you for joining us.